today we're joined by DevvStream Holdings, a leader in green project investment and carbon credit generation. The company trades on the CBOE under the symbol DESG and OTCQB in the US under the symbol DSTRF. Joining me today is DevvStream's CEO, Trinh, who will be providing the latest corporate update from the company. And before we jump into the first question, I'll remind our audience to use the chat function on the screen to submit any questions for Sunny. Sunny, good to see you again, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure. Great to see you again as well, Megan.
Now, Sunny, to start things off, can you give our audience an introduction to DevvStream?
Yeah, sure. So DevvStream is a technology-based sustainability company created to advance the development and monetization of environmental assets, such as carbon credits. So we generate streams of revenue for other companies, organizations, or even cities and states through the use of carbon credits with a focus on technology. So in other words, if a company has a technology or doing an activity that helps reduce energy consumption or greenhouse gas emissions, we come in and we provide a full turnkey service where we generate and monetize carbon credits for them at no cost. How we get paid is that we get a portion of the credits that we generate. So there's no risk on their part, and it's a win-win for all parties. And for those new to the carbon credit industry, it's quite massive. In 2023, it exceeded $1 trillion, and it's expected to grow to 2.68 trillion, and this is US dollars, by 2028. In addition, studies have been done stating that in order for the world to reach our goals to address climate change, nature-based solutions will only address up to 20% of the issue. The other 80% needs to come from technology, and that's where DevvStream is the leader in.
And on September 13th, 2023, DevvStream entered into a business combination agreement with Focus Impact Partners to list on the NASDAQ. Can you remind our audience of the terms of this agreement and provide us with the latest update on the transition?
Yes, yeah, Megan. We're definitely very excited about the progress we're making on our proposed NASDAQ listing. Well, as we all know, 2023 was extremely challenging for the capital markets in North America, along with being in a deep freeze for IPOs. So as we move into the new year, our capital advisors are seeing some green shoots in the overall market. Based in part on improved performances in the broader indexes, there is growing consensus that the equity market is increasingly ready to digest and support new issues. This is bolstered by the view that interest rates have peaked and should start to trend lower, as well as an abundance of cash sitting on the sidelines. We are also seeing pent-up demand for new investment opportunities, with investors having increased focus on strong business models, clear growth trajectories, and sustainability, all of which is indicative of DevvStream. So over the past 10 months, DevvStream and Focus Impact Acquisition Corp, our SPAC sponsor, have worked diligently to enter into a definitive business combination agreement, I should say, which I believe has the potential to escalate DevvStream to a new frontier on the NASDAQ in terms of valuation, liquidity, and carbon market presence. I'm happy to say that on December 4th, 2023, we achieved another milestone on our road to the NASDAQ listing by submitting our registration statement on Form S-4 to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, or the SEC. I'm pleased to share that at the end of 2023, we did receive our first round of comments on the registration statement back from the SEC, and we are pretty much done with our responses to these comments and are about ready to submit them back to the SEC very shortly. We believe that this puts us on track to complete our business combination agreement and be listed on NASDAQ conservatively within the first half of this year.
So I guess the question you probably received is, why did DevvStream decide to move forward with a SPAC merger with Focus Impact?
Yeah, no, very good question. One main reason why we wanted to move forward with Focus Impact was the uplift in valuation the merger would provide to DevvStream shareholders. DevvStream was assigned a valuation of $145 million US dollars under the business combination agreement, and having a sophisticated third-party consulting firm comb through our financial model and data room to assess our growth projections took considerable amount of effort, but the results revealed our true potential for growth. The foundations we have planted in a new industry, including multi-million-dollar carbon offtake agreements with an international energy firms, really supports the adoption of a fresh perspective that accurately reflects our potential valuation as a NASDAQ-listed company. So in terms of what this means for existing shareholders, the share exchange conversion ratios provide an implied share price of $2.16 Canadian, representing a substantial premium compared to the current share price on CBOE. We will aspire to use this elevated valuation and new access to capital as the next stepping stone to build our business as the first NASDAQ-listed carbon credit streaming company. One additional thing I would want to say about this merger is that we met with 4 different SPACs, and one really stood out, and that was Focus Impact. The first reason was that their goals and missions to find a company that is creating a positive impact on the world perfectly aligned with ours. And then we got to know their leadership team led by Carl Stanton, their CEO, and really we just clicked. Then we took a look at their investor and advisor list and saw an incredible amount of synergies across all the different types of large organizations and entities that they're connected to. I felt that it would really help us accelerate even faster, including getting us access to capital and just getting access to other clients as well too. So throughout this process, Focus Impact they've been a fantastic partner, and I'm confident that together we can do some really amazing things.
Now let's talk about one of your latest updates where you recently announced some new partnerships with EV charging solutions providers. Can you tell us more about this?
Yeah, this is another program, Megan, that I feel could be extremely impactful for both the environment and for DevVStream. So according to cleantechnica.com, over 670,000 electric vehicles were sold in the first half of 2023. While EV adoption has undeniably grown, the lack of adequate charging infrastructure has proven to be a large barrier. This has also created a huge opportunity for us. Our partnership with EV charging providers help augment the expansion of charging infrastructure by providing a built-in financing mechanism through high-quality carbon credits. In particular, we are extremely excited about the CFR and LCFS compliance credits that will be generated in Canada, which are expected to command a premium price reflective of their higher value. A new report says that Metro Vancouver alone will need up to 7,700 fast charging ports and up to 97,600 level 2 charging ports over the next 30 years. So this is your backyard, Megan, right? So I'm sure you've seen the need for that. And our internal experts estimate that each L2 port will generate approximately 40 credits per year, while a fast charging port will generate 500 credits annually. Where it gets really interesting is that EV charger credits are, like I mentioned before, are eligible under 2 compliance programs: Canada's Clean Fuel Regulations, or CFR, and British Columbia's Low Carbon Fuel Standard, or LCFS. The value for CFR credits are expected to be around 300 Canadian dollars, while the average price for the LCFS credits in Q4 of 2023 was around 490 Canadian dollars. So when you do the math, the value that these credits can generate make EV chargers an extremely profitable endeavor for DevVStream. And to top it all off, we have the leading expert on LCFS and CFR credits on our team, Michael Rensing. He helped develop and ran the LCFS program in British Columbia for well over a decade. So he will oversee our program in generating these credits. Michael's been instrumental in developing and implementing these programs and brings an extremely great amount of knowledge as well too. So with regards to our partnerships, over the last month, we've signed 2 EV charging solutions provider, GoStation and Green Energy Technologies. GoStation is an EV charging company that offers a complete range of EV charging services, including turnkey solutions. The company serves a variety of verticals, including multifamily developments, workplaces, retail centers, fueling stations, ports of entry, and also fleet operators transitioning to electrification. They currently have over 100 charging ports owned and managed across multiple states in the US. And then there's Green Energy Technology, which is also a turnkey installer of EV charging stations. They do it for last mile delivery services, also hotels, casinos, and high-end retail enterprises. This partnership really allows DevVStream to leverage GET's network of EV charging stations in the New York City metropolitan area for carbon credit generation. So these 2 agreements alone will establish a new revenue stream for both GoStation and Get, while building upon DevVStream's rapidly expanding portfolio of EV charging locations.
So over the past few quarters, DevVStream has made quite a few announcements on programs such as your buildings and facilities carbon offset program. Can you provide us updates on those as well?
Yeah. So for those that aren't familiar with our programs, it's a different approach from what most developers take for their carbon projects. Most developers work on one project at a time in a single location. And as many of you may know, the process of creating, registering, and validating carbon credits is quite tedious, expensive, and can take up to several years to complete. So when you have multiple projects that are similar, this could be very inefficient and costly. What we do instead is to register a program across an entire country or two. And then this program not only brings together similar projects within a region, it can also aggregate multiple activities that are eligible to generate carbon credits. Then when the program is developed, validated, and registered, it becomes very easy to bring on new program participants or clients at almost no additional cost. So for example, and take our billings program, right, that you mentioned. Our program covers multiple energy efficiency upgrades that can be done within a facility or building across all of North America. So examples of some of these things would be improved HVAC systems, switching to LED lighting, or adding occupancy sensors. Once the program is up and running, we can add new buildings to the program within a few days rather than waiting several years. So if you're a building owner or a city with municipal buildings where you've done upgrades, you don't have to register a new project and wait for years to generate credits. You can join our program and start generating credits within days of joining. For this program, we expect to have our project development doc, or PDD, which essentially is a detailed report of the entire project, completed within the next 3 to 4 weeks. And this is the first steps to registering a program within one of the registries. And it takes roughly 3 months to validate and an additional month or so to register the project onto the registry. Carbon credits will then be issued shortly after that. So we have the same timeline for our industrial energy efficiency program and several other ones. The industrial energy efficiency program aggregates energy reducing upgrades within factories or industrial facilities. What's nice about these programs is that they allow us to scale really quickly. So think about how many buildings, campuses, hotels, factories, shopping centers, restaurants, and so on across North America. All of these are potential participants for our programs. But depending on how long the validation and registration process takes, we do expect to start generating carbon credits as soon as early Q2 of this year.
So now it's time for the fun part, Sonny. I've got some questions for you that have come in.
Okay.
The first one is, what's the timeline like currently for when the transaction is expected to close, and what other items are needed to be completed?
Sure. So we've really hit the major milestone already, and that's submitting our S4 filing. And getting the initial comments back from the SEC was the next big hurdle. And like I said, the SEC was able to get that back to us relatively quickly. We got it right during the holidays, and we're about done submitting our responses. And so once that's done, we expect maybe 1 or 2 more iterations after that. And if all goes well, we should be complete with the submission within the next 4 to 6 weeks. And then we file with the NASDAQ. And depending how long that takes, then the completion or the transaction should be closed after that's done. So we're, like I said, conservatively, we'll have it done within the first half of this year. Where within the first half, again, it kind of depends on the SEC and it depends on NASDAQ, but we are definitely on our way.
Okay. Next question. It's a question about your future development. Can you talk about when you'll begin to generate carbon credits?
Yeah, like I mentioned, we should start seeing our first set of carbon credits in Q2 of this year, and then we really start scaling in Q4. But our first set of carbon credits should be coming in about in Q2.
There's a question here on 28. Can you give us an overview on how that went for the company?
Oh, I'm sorry, can you say it again? My internet cut off for a second.
About COP28. Can you give us an overview on how that went for the company?
Yeah, no, so COP28 was a great event. It was the largest COP by far. And what we saw was that a lot of groups and individuals and organizations that had gone, some of the early ones stopped going for a while because they didn't find it productive. They all kind of ended up showing up. And then along with a lot of other corporations, financial institutions. So we made a lot of connections as far as potential new clients to add to our programs. We also met with quite a few investors and investment banks looking to invest into companies and projects like what DevvStream is doing. So it gave us access to, like I said, quite a few more opportunities, along with potential investors into the company as well too, into our pipe and investment into the company as we go through the DSPAC.
Another question here on business combination. Will the company continue to trade in Canada after that's completed?
Yeah, so we are still in the process of deciding that. There's definitely benefits to doing that, but there also is challenges as well too. So we haven't made a full decision on that yet. So I can't really comment until we end up, making a final decision.
Now, Sunny, going forward, will the company be looking to raise capital once you begin trading on the NASDAQ, or are you expecting some dollars to remain with Focus Impact?
Yeah, so it'll be a combination of both. We're trying to take a very conservative approach. So we are doing a pipe raise in conjunction with the DSPAC. There's money left in trust right now with Focus Impact. And so it will really kind of depend on the final redemption rate. But right now there's a decent amount of money that's still available from Focus Impact. But like I said, we want to take a conservative approach, and we do have some term sheets on the table as well as far as financing for DSPAC.
And Sunny, for our audience, are there any other points on DevStream that you'd like to leave them with?
Yeah, so a couple things I want to reiterate. First of all, this is a massive market, right? So the carbon market. The carbon market still has its challenges in 2023, but Q4 was the highest trading quarter for any in the history of carbons. So it's still very active, and it's still $1 trillion industry. And secondly, I mentioned before, 80% of this space is expected to come from technology. And that's the study that I mentioned, where 20% of solutions necessary for us to meet our net zero goals will come from nature-based, while the other 80% needs to come from technology, and that's where we shine. Right? That's where DevStream is the leader in. Also, just kind of remind the shareholders that we have a pipeline of over 140 projects, with 9 under definitive contract and several more under LOIs, moving to contract. So we have plenty of projects, most of which are very scalable, like our billings program, for example. And so that's one of the reasons why we are going through the DSPAC and moving to list on NASDAQ, is to get access to additional capital so we can add more resources to take advantage of these projects and to allow us to scale and grow very quickly. And then also we have a definitive offtake agreements with large global energy companies for purchase of up to 650,000 compliance credits over the next 3 years. So we have contracts both on the supply side and then also on the buy side as well too. And then finally, once the merger is approved, we expect to be the first and only carbon company on NASDAQ. So that's extremely exciting for us and for our shareholders.
All right, I think we can wrap things up here. Thank you so much, Sunny. We've really enjoyed having you on today to provide the DevStream update. And we're looking forward to you again as you continue to progress with the business combination with Focus Impact.
Great. Thank you, Megan. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Have a great day.
You too.